Okay. Well, I guess let's get going. Welcome everybody to Folk Plus. This is a music business conference with the Folk Alliance International and all of the regional organizations that are part of Folk Alliance. It's our first collaboration with all of us doing an event together. It is just online for right now, and this is actually being recorded. I will say that this panel will be live at our conference, which I guess I should say, I'm Dallas Allen, and I'm the
Mhm.
ED and the conference coordinator of the Southwest Regional of Folk Alliance, known as SWRFA. And our conference is in Austin at the end of September, 25th through 29th. So this panel will again be live at our conference in Austin, September 25th through 29th. And it will be a little bit longer, and these folks will be with you in the room, and you'll be able to visit with them about these opportunities and ask questions and get answers. This panel is about foundations that offer funded opportunities for musicians, artists, writers, um, and the point is to let you know that these opportunities are there, and these are just three of the wonderful opportunities that I happen to know about that give artists ways to get into the studio that they may not have another way to figure out how to do that. Go to workshops and artist in residence programs, and I just love how the people that are musicians themselves figure out ways to help their peers and to be that in our community. So this is about three of those opportunities, and also to maybe encourage you to create an opportunity or help a friend create an opportunity like this. Because as we all know, our community really needs these kinds of situations now more than ever. And so I'm just going to lead in with brief introductions of the three organizations that we have here today. And then we'll come back around to what they do, how they do it, why they do it, and just kind of an overview of what you could take part in if you think it's a fit. So we'll start off with Billy Crockett from Blue Rock Studios and Foundation.
Okay, great. Thank you. It's really fun to be a part of this. And Don and Terry have not met you guys any other way except by reputation. And John, it was fun to be with you recently. And Craig, I just think this is going to be a great thing in September. And I'm looking forward to the conversation now. I'm Billy Crockett. Dodie and I, my wife, put together a dream some years ago, almost 20, called Blue Rock Studio in the hill country of Texas, and primarily a place for audio and video production. And that's the work I've been doing all my life. Songwriting and performing is my thing. But it's also been a place that we have very intentionally welcomed the performing songwriter community. And we do not only production work, but a concert series there. And somewhere along the way, it began to seem really fun and attractive to us to be offering some workshops for songwriters, keep a conversation going underneath the creative life and around it. That was the nourishment that I personally needed, and so we published an art journal for about 8 years, and then we wanted to hear from artists about what the life is like. It can be kind of lonely out there, and I find that when you are with a very rare few souls who love it like we do, It can be transformational. It can be really a lot less lonely for a little bit, and very exciting to enter a shared creative space. So that became something called the Blue Rock Foundation, which not only carries the workshops, but has launched a couple of years ago now a program for artist residencies, performing artist, songwriter residencies, 7 days at a time. We call it Occupy Blue Rock. And that's what they do. The 3 at a time, they come our way and they have the whole place, and it's primarily focused on the writing experience. And I can say more about that later, but that's the frame. It's our favorite thing now. And so I'm excited to talk about it, of course, but also to explore how that looks from you guys, what you're doing in the same way.
Okay. All right. Well, and I mean, I've known of Blue Rock for quite some time, and just from a personal experience, I've just recently met John and Craig from the Rockport Songwriters Association, and I'm very fortunate to get to go to all of the things that they're producing. So let me introduce John Macy and Craig Griffin, who are partners in creating this. And so, John, would you maybe start?
Sure. So, yeah, I'm John Macy. I moved to Colorado in 1976 to play with Michael Murphy. I'm a steel guitar player, but also started as an engineer even before I started playing. I owned commercial studios. Yeah, we started spending some time in the Rockport area and bought a house down there. Fell in love with it pretty quick. We thought Rockport would be the getaway from Colorado. It's kind of turned out to be the opposite. Rockport's is our main home now, and Colorado's the getaway where our kids live. When I got down there was no music business to speak of, as in zero. So I started doing house concerts. That grew into meeting Craig, who had amazing facilities that we captured into, which led to me packing my studios in Denver up, moving down to Rockport, and creating a destination studio there. We're in an old house out on Fulton Beach Road, right on the water. We can sleep 9 people, state-of-the-art gear, a pool, ocean's right across the street. And, the studio business has treated me really well. I've owned commercial studios for 45 years. And so I felt it was a time, Craig and I both sort of feel the same way. We're both financially stable in our lives. It's time to, give back to what we're doing. And so we created this 501c, Rockport Songwriter Foundation. And one of the big goals of that is, besides doing the festival and doing shows and stuff, is our give back is we're going to do a peer nominated artist in residence kind of thing, where we take nominations from the writers that work with us at our festivals and shows like that, and select somebody that they'd like to bring into the studio for a week, record a record with them, and produce a CD for them at no cost, basically. And rather than doing a contest or a submission or a showcase, it's a peer nominated thing, which has seemed a little bit different than what most people are doing. And I think a lot of the artists we talk to, they really like the peer nominated thing. It makes it pretty special to them. You want to add some stuff, Craig?
I think a little different than the other concepts is that we put the concerts on and get some of the aging musicians that we enjoy bringing in, and try to generate some revenue from that, as well as sponsorships to have the money to do this mentoring and recording business. It's a lot of fun for all of us doing it that way.
Yeah, and having been a commercial studio owner, I know the struggle to get in and do a project, and especially in these economic times, it's really tough. So we're hoping we can do several of these to give a little jump start to some artists that couldn't afford it otherwise.
Thank you, John and Craig. And so our third and final for this session foundation is Howling Dog Records, and group created by Terry McCartney and Don Richmond. And here they are.
Yeah,
Thanks, Dallas.
thank you. So honored, so pleased to be with you all. It's so wonderful to see these different approaches to basically the same idea, the same thrust of hey, let's see what we can do to help. Well, yeah, Holland Dog Music Group, we've run a recording studio and a record label that was always seemed more like a cooperative than a record label, but for a lot of years, and just started tossing around the idea of becoming a nonprofit, and then dove into that last year, basically, and started inviting people to become patrons and give us a little bit of money each month, and started accepting one-time donations, and whoever wanted to give us money, etc. And became a 501c3, of course, before doing that, and with the idea of it just helping artists make a record, because if you're in the music business, you realize that with the disappearance of physical media, that it is somewhere between extremely difficult and impossible, or borderline impossible, to make back an investment. I mean, if you're going to spend money at a good studio, it's going to cost you, I don't know, $10,000 more, 20, who knows, 2,000, whatever. But if you can't sell physical product, then you're left with streaming income. And at least in our demographic, which is old folks like us, the streaming is not sufficient to really pay back that investment. So you hear from so many artists, it's like, why bother? Why bother making a recording? And it's like, I'm idealistic enough to have this thought of, well, what if they wrote the song that's going to save the world and they're not going to record it? It's like, so let's see if we can help. And thankfully, in our first year of doing this, we managed to complete a cycle where we raised enough money to give 7 grants, small grants, to some artists that we did invite people to apply, and then we have a committee, because we had formed a board when we were doing the 501c3, and we have a committee among the board that has chosen those 7 artists, and they can take, they can take that money anywhere, any studio, any producer, as long as we feel like they're a good fit and all that. And we're just now in the process of booking and getting those sessions set up and figuring out the next steps. So anyway, that's sort of where we are with it right now.
That's us in a nutshell. We also hope to have some workshops and educational pieces coming. And eventually, and this is more long-term, an archive of regional music. Those are longer-term goals.
Mainly because I don't know what to do with my 30 boxes of ADAT tapes,
Thank you for those introductions. And again, for me, what's important about this is that all of you have musical experience, whether you're a songwriter or a musician yourself, or you've just worked with musicians in the studio, but you feel moved to create something that supports your peers. I've always loved that about artists, like Christine in Swan Songs, or Terry Hendricks in On Your Own Universe, or I could go on and on. That it's not just entertainment. It's not just that you get to come to a concert. It's that you have this passion to be more, to give more, to make it matter more. And I love that. And I know there's plenty of other organizations that are doing it as well, but you're just 3 of my favorites. And so I got to choose. And so, and like Don is part of the Rifters, a fabulous band that we all go and listen to, and I feel like he's a musician, but Terry is like the glue, the person that tells us what's going on and sends out all the communications and keeps it running. And I feel that way about Billy and Dodie as well. Dodie is the welcome to Blue Rock. Not that Billy's not, but she is the person that is his partner and makes sure that other than just the musical parts, everything else is taken care of. And I feel like with John and Craig, John is the studio person and the musician, and Craig is the facilities and the backup and the help with the funding and the organization of all of the musical things that they want to do. And so these kinds of partnerships are so brilliant and wonderful. And, I have a friend that wrote a song and he says, it's the glitter and the glue. And, and I think that in all three of your organizations, you all have both of those pieces. And you've already kind of described mostly what you do, but I guess I'll just open it up to Billy again briefly. I guess some of my questions are, and you've touched on some of this. I mean, I want people to understand the what, the who, the how, and the why of your organizations. I mean, we've probably got about a half hour left. So, just what drove this passion for you, if you feel like you haven't already made that clear?
And by the way, I'm not sure if I'll tell Dodie she's the glue.
Oh no, she's got the glitter too. Everybody has some of both. Truly.
She seems like she's both and more to me.
I agree.
I was trying my best to have some humor there, Dallas.
No, sorry.
You're so good to convene this conversation, and of course, Dodie and I are really close to you. You're on our board, and it's possible that you probably had. I think you had the idea for this residency that we are so excited about, called Occupy Blue Rock. How it works is it's allocated 7 days in sequence, 4 times a year, 1 a quarter. And it's 3 artists at a time by application through the website, Blue Rock Foundation. And our board helps select and hopefully curate a very congenial and effective set of interests and personalities that will make that week a success. What I find really interesting in it, and by the way, I am always one of them. I go through that experience as well. So there's 4 artists on site, and for 1 week, I get to experience Blue Rock as with some fresh eyes and with single-minded focus, just like they have. So I come at that with a lot of high goals and a lot of great nourishment to be found, like I think they have. And by day, it's everybody's on their own. And they have the whole place. It's 3 guest suites and a couple of cabins and a studio and decks and 27 acres to breathe, rest, discover. And the first time we say hello in any organized way is 6 p.m. each evening, where we meet in the big kitchen and put together dinner. And at that point, the possibility of doing some sharing is on offer. And every single time I have been shocked and amazed at how beautifully that is accepted and extended to each other. And it's not just fresh song ideas. It's what are you reading? What has surprised you along the tour? Comparing all kind of circles of shared friends and interests and influences, and the bonding that goes on between like-minded, passionate individuals who love this is generally the big surprise takeaway. That and songs. We're, I guess, primarily focused on songwriting for that 7-day period, with a tiny bit of studio. On the last couple of days, we give about a 3-hour session to each artist to bring fresh ideas that kind of want to be captured in all of their original energy. And then the last night, Dallas, as you know, we have a concert for our Blue Rock community, and it's set up differently than our normal stuff. We put the artists on the floor and the audience is on the stage in 360 around us. And the artists are facing each other in 4 together in a very intimate circle. It's a conversation just like the previous nights have been, only now we have 50 people around us who we get to share that with, and they get to look in on that process for us. And there are no expectations or designs on what happens there, but what has happened is an amazing amount of fresh work gets presented for the first time. And that is a little sense of accountability maybe, or just a sense of possibility, and to consummate some of those things, if they feel strong enough to share, then of course we do. And I think the whole thing, I guess maybe on the one more practical thing is that there's an expense grant that is provided of $500, and then the ticket revenue from that show gets split 3 ways between our guest artists, so they can go home with $1,000 to help with airfares and gas money, and also just taking the time off of the tour to give this gift to themselves is a sacrifice. Everybody that we bring in is a working professional songwriter, touring artist. And so we wanted to make it hopefully with as little pain financially as we can. So that's the model.
Okay. So, John and Craig, I know you've already touched on, that some of the things that you're doing in terms of having a festival and concerts, and maybe just delve, like Billy just did, a little bit more into what motivated you to take this extra step, and what are the opportunities, either currently and like for the future, because part of what I hope to accomplish here is, and at the conference coming up, is people understanding what these opportunities are, how they can be a part of these opportunities, and maybe even ideas for future opportunities. And so knowing what you already have kind of planned out, the conversation when we are in person can kind of go there. And so this is more just this is an intro to you. So John, Craig.
You want me to jump in, Craig, first? I don't know if he can hear me, so I'm going to jump in while we try to get him on here. Yeah, ours is a little bit different, like I said, from what Blue Rock's doing. I love that concept too. Like I said, we're going to bring Pure nominated artists in for a week in the studio and to record a collection of their songs with a good producer and engineer. I'm going to do one of them a year. I want to bring outside people in to do it. We've already been talking to several people about, I don't want to be the one that does everything, so we can kind of pair the artist to an engineer producer and come in and work on that. And Don touched on the fact that CDs don't sell, but we're amazed at how many CDs get sold at our shows here in Rockport. I mean, people do step up. We encourage them at our shows to buy merchandise. It's kind of like tipping with benefits in some ways that we call it. And I'm amazed how many we sell. But for an artist to go in the studio and spend a week of time with a great engineer and then press a CD, it's pretty cost prohibitive. So this can be handed in their lap. That's why we want to, gift them too with 1,000 CDs of their projects so they can, because that's what gets them. That's what we tell our crowds too. Those CD sales, what gets you through the gas station and the drive-through line at Whataburger, man. That's what those sales do. Let you keep your money that you make. So that was one of our biggest things because it's such a tough thing, and we have the studio to be able to do it in. We're also looking at some collaboration. Don was down visiting us, and we want to donate a week of time at our studio to one of their projects that they can, if they have somebody in Texas that might be more difficult to come, we want to work with them and give them some time. Too, I would love to see some collaboration between the three groups on that. And part of our 501c, we're really new to this. I mean, Craig, when do we get our paperwork? And just before the festival last year, or so like October. So we've been a 501 less than a year, and we're kind of astounded how well it's taken off. And one of the things that has helped us, and Craig can tell you this, and when we bring donors into the studio and show them what we're doing and what we're doing, it sure makes them pony up a lot quicker than a letter or something on the website,
Yeah, the getting the people into the sponsorship to see the studio, to understand the concept. We've had a couple foundations that have really stepped up and like what we're doing. Something I really like about today in the panel feature is the cross-pollination between the three different groups here. Because listening, we're just starting and we haven't done the mentorship yet, but listening to you and such, it's giving me some neat ideas. I'm sure John too. It just we're in our infancy, but real excited about it. And like you say, that the song that can save the world might be out there.
Okay. And also one of the things that I can remember from some of our meetings is that potentially the artists that are chosen could have some space on the Rockport Songwriters Festival, which is at the November 7 through 10. And so that's just one more possible for someone who decides that this is a fit and that they want to try to participate in any of these projects. And
yeah, absolutely. We're trying to get our first mentorship done so we can release that first record and have them play at the festival. And also, just for y'all's knowledge, if you know anybody, I'm trying to open the studio as a creative incubator too, to friends that if they got some days off, like Jeff Plankenhorn just spent 4 days, he had 4 days off. I let him stay at the studio. He fell in love with my piano, wrote a whole new record. He's coming back to record, and it saved him some money, and he didn't have to go sit in a hotel or sleep on friends' couches. He could, it's a pretty inspiring place we got there, like Billy's, and I've yet to see Don's, but I'm going to maybe try to drive down next week and pay you a visit. But anyway,
that's the word I was going to use was inspirational on the location. You're looking out at the bay, you're hanging out, and we've got a hotel and a restaurant. We just take care of them every which way and, take all those worries away about regular day-to-day life and look at the bay and get inspired.
Yeah, we had Kimmy and Gabriel stay there recently for a couple of days, and they were just blown away by the bay. It was pretty cool. But anyway, so we're going to try to offer some of that, not to just anybody, and would have to fit in with our studio time. But Mike O'Connor and Denise spent about 3 days there recently, and we just want to open it. If there's nothing going on and there's somebody that could use a little getaway, we're open to hosting them. Just come on over. You get everything you need there.
so forming new friendships is also a really good part of this, as I can attest. So Terry and Don, would you like to expand just a bit on your mission? And I know you have a great board.
We do. We were lucky to have several musicians jump on board because of that spirit, I think, that everyone is expressing of wanting to help, wanting to give back. So we've got a great board, primarily musicians, but then some practical kind of people too, like an attorney and
They're needed.
get manager. Things like that.
The attorney's also a musician. I don't
Well,
know how
that's
that
true.
works.
Yeah, well, it's using both parts of the brain.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I'm listening and so excited about what everyone's doing. And we too are pretty new at this. I mean, Don's had a studio for 30 years or so, but we have just become a nonprofit in the last year. I think one of the things that we do is with our monthly patrons. We ask people to become monthly patrons, then they get a little content, they get the music eventually for what they're giving, but they really help to spread the word about the music that's being made, about the organization itself. So a lot of our funding right now is coming from patrons. We'll be writing grants in the future and all that. But the patrons also help get the word out about these new musicians that maybe no one's heard of before. So I'm really liking that model.
Yeah, they can be sort of ambassadors as well.
Yeah, ambassadors.
Yeah, and of course they're patrons because they love the music. They're excited about the music. They're excited about about being able to support musicians, you know. And of course, musicians have gotten to be pretty good at fundraising and cultivating their Patreon pages and doing Kickstarters and all that. And of course, we don't want to take away from that. But my hope is that, being as we have created this organization that is sort of doing that all the time in a way, but that is kind of a permanent focus for it, and that we can then attract some wider funding, some larger funding from other foundations, other organizations that say perhaps individual artists could not. And like John was saying, we're still in our infancy as well, you know. We feel like this can grow to be, who knows, you know, to be more significant. I think it's significant already. It was really cool to be able to give some money away to people and to see these things starting to happen. But I'm really, I'm a big fan of Blue Rock, and then of what John and Craig are doing. I mean, they talk about the location and the view. We were ready to move in. I mean, you know, we came down to visit them. It was like, an ocean? Yeah, sign us up, man. We got mountains. I mean, we got a 14,000-foot mountain outside our front door, and it's pretty impressive too. And sunrises over the Sangre de Cristos and all that. And then I remember in the beginning of the pandemic, seeing the Blue Rock video stuff. It's like, oh man, how do they make it look so good and sound so good? I mean, I went on your website, read your things about lighting and stuff, because we were just babies and just starting to do it. And it's like, oh yeah, the wonderful work that you all are doing. So anyway, but I love, and one of the things we talked about was how grateful the musicians are. I mean, you know, we're giving the grants that we're giving away are $3,000 basically. That's not, you know, not this earth-shaking amount, but I know as a musician and as an artist that it feels so good to have somebody say, "Hey, we believe in you. We're on your team. We want to help. Here's some help. Let us help you. Let us lift you up. Let us do whatever we can." I mean, the only reason we started doing what we call Howlin' Dog Records as a label was we just wanted to help. You know, it's like, I always felt so bad as a studio owner. You make a record and of course you fall in love with it and you're excited. And then it's like you hand the, you know, you send the master off or whatever and to the artist and say, well, good luck.
Yeah.
You know, and of course you don't want to be cynical. It's like, I hope you got enough room on your bed for all these CDs, you know, but like, no, you want to be able to help, you know, and so this is just an outgrowth of that. And it's still an incredibly challenging thing to do with your life, to try to become a musical artist or any other kind. And nobody in their right mind would do it, but obviously people do. And I love that. Anyway, I'm rambling.
Well, and I consider it a gift that I've been able to do what I have done in the music industry, and that I get to meet you, all of you, and be a part of what you're creating and to help spread the word, because I, do know a lot of people. And so when somebody says, here's an application, I send it to every artist I know and say, here's something that you might want to consider. And it's like, we're all connectors. And I love that so much about all of you. And also, as I've said, Music to Life and so many other organizations that are also giving back. And so to me, this passion for what you do, like you are musicians, singers, songwriters, supporters, but also to make sure that other people get to do it, because without that, then it all could go away. And so thank you so much for what you're doing, and thank you for sticking with me and having the patience to make this video happen. We went back and forth quite a bit, but again, I would love to see many of you that are here in attendance at Folk Plus come to SWRFA. It's in Austin, September 25th through 29th. These guys will be there doing a panel, and there's a lot of opportunities for showcasing and hanging out and finding out this kind of information. It's what Folk Alliance is, the core of Folk Alliance, in my opinion, is to divulge all of the things that you may not have another way to find out about. They're an organization, but they also promote and tell about all the other organizations that are doing the same work. So go to swfolkalliance.org and check out the information that's there. And the official showcase is open on June 1st, and you can register for the conference, and you'll get to meet all these guys in person, and hopefully Fawn as well, who is our Folk Alliance support and made this video come to fruition, and appreciate that so much, Fawn. And again, for all of you for taking the time out of your busy schedules to be with us today and to meet each other. And hopefully, by the time SWRFA comes around, we'll just have all kind of collaborations going on, and who knows what could happen.
Dallas, you're the great connector.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Amen.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's my
thank
pleasure.
you.
Pleasure to
And
be part of
please
that.
have whoever's watching this, please visit all three of our websites. You can learn a whole lot more about us. I don't know if ours is RockportSongwriterAssociation.com. Billy?
Ours is bluerockfoundation.org. All about what we do there. We'd love to have you take a look.
Don?
Yeah, ours is
Don?
howlandogmusicgroup.org. No G in Howland. Howland Dog Music Group.
Yeah. And this is recorded, but again, as you're watching it, which you're doing right now, because now it's part of the Folk Plus, there'll be a chat. Phooey. Okay, there'll be a chat, and I'll be putting all of this kind of information, like their websites and stuff, in that chat when this is actually a live thing happening, a recorded live thing. So, Fawn, you have a lot of editing to do. So
Hey.
again, thank you all for taking your time, and it's lovely to see your faces. I love you all, and I'll see you again probably sooner than September, but for sure in September.
Okie
Thank
dokie.
you, everybody, too. I'm really inspired by what you're doing. I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
Likewise.
Looking
Likewise.
forward to hanging with you in
Thank you,
September.
Billy. Been hearing about you for years.
I want to attend each and every one. You know, I want to go to Savannah Week at Blue Rock, go hang out on the Gulf.
Thank
Well,
you, Dallas. Great
We
to
can
meet
have
you.
retreats.